Dragon Age Veilguard devs turn on BioWare's Mass Effect devs, even though they're technically the same people now working at that game also, because they feel slighted. Oh, these people can't stop eating their own, can they?
Waiting a decade for a new Dragon Age game to release, and unfortunately, the one we got was less than superb. Veilguard was truly the worst type of product that they could have created possible.
What do you mean? Establishing my trans identity felt so free and other stupid stuff.
And it seems that we are not the only people who are upset with the state of this franchise because the Dragon Age creator is slamming BioWare over a perceived Mass Effect favoritism in a Blue Sky firestorm. I have a few different things to show off, but before I
Blue Sky, I can't wait until he tries to blame the evil chuds on Twitter for this.
get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we all know that Dragon Age is dead. We're never going to get another Dragon Age game, or if we do, it's not going to be.
True. Again, remember, Dragon Age was supposed to sell roughly 15 million copies to break even, or be slightly profitable, I guess, maybe, if we're lucky. And we still are not sure if it sold more than 800,000 copies at this point. A million is probably not even close. Yeah, it is horrible. This is one of the greatest disasters. Well, this was one of the greatest disasters until the point the next one came, and it was literally like, I don't know, how long did Dragon Age Railguard last? 2 weeks until we got the next big AAA disaster? They're really good at ruining stuff, huh?
For another like 15 or 20 years when they have to pull something out of the vault, and it's sad.
Oh, by the way, they tried to lie and say, oh, we're expecting Dragon Age Railguard to only sell 3 million copies in like 2 years or something like that. I don't remember it, but you're talking about a franchise that is expected to sell at least 10 million copies in a year, the first year of release, okay? We're talking about a franchise, an IP that powerful, a fan base so large. And you're like, oh no, Dragon Age Veil got 3 million copies in a year. That was our goal. Hee hee ha ha. Goodbye, Obed. We're literally dead and we're shutting down.
Sad to say because I used to really love Dragon Age. I know so many people were excited about Dreadwolf coming out, and then it turned into Veilguard, and we just got a really terrible product. But now the Dragon Age creators actually slamming BioWare, which there's a lot to unpack here. I'm sure that you saw in the title, right? Blue Sky Firestorm. Uh-oh, red flag. But he was not affiliated with Dragon Age the Veilguard. And it really speaks volumes as to how much companies change over the years. Look at Rocksteady. I talk about Rocksteady a lot because I love the Arkhamverse. I had insiders at Rocksteady, and unfortunately, that company changed so much. It was out with the old, the people who actually cared about franchises, the studios, co-founders, and in with the new, which were activists who were more worried about pushing political narratives in their content instead of just creating escapism. And the same thing has happened with many other studios like Oblivion, like BioWare, and I don't think we're ever going to get the golden days of these studios back, but it is interesting to see people speak out. So it says sibling rivalry has been a part of the human condition since we were all living in caves, hitting things with clubs. Some of us still are. This also apparently holds true at BioWare, particularly among its two divisions devoted to Mass Effect and Dragon Age. We know that Dragon
Who would ever expect this? Wow. What?
Age is dead, and that they took.
I mean, listen, Mass Effect is gonna Mass Effect is gonna follow, okay? If you they took a middle-age fantasy setting and then and inserted trans people and shit in there, okay? What do you think they're gonna do in a fantasy setting in the future where technology can actually accommodate these things and it's not just pure bullshit? Oh yes, Mass Effect is so dead, and so is BioWare. I mean, we already knew it. Again, I'm not actually still really sure. How are we not hearing the fact that BioWare is just shutting down. Like, what is does EA have money still? I mean, something is strange here that we're not hearing more negative things about BioWare because their last four things that they made were absolute rogue disasters. That BioWare, dude, listen. Ubisoft was in the gutter for roughly 2.2 billion, my estimate, highest almost. But BioWare is not that long behind them, honestly. I mean, BioWare is probably not really 2 billion in debt. It's something like probably a billion in losses currently, considering everything. But why are we not hearing anything about BioWare soon? Just croaking. I, something is missing here. Because again, you can't fail like 15 games in a row like BioWare and nothing happening. Again, Ubisoft, it's happening to Ubisoft, it's happening to everyone else, but BioWare? Strange. Something big should be happening with BioWare soon. Or maybe they are just banking everything in the Mass Effect franchise returning and having another return to form. Yeah, that's not happening, obviously. So yeah, a BioWare should be also exactly like Ubisoft, just shutting down. Again, they probably don't have a 2 billion or 3 billion in debt, but they are losing money. Andromeda, I don't remember their playlist of games, but again, they have just losses after loss.
some of the people who worked on Dragon Age and pushed them over to Mass Effect. So now BioWare is just kind of one big Mass Effect blob team because if the next Mass Effect game comes out and it's trash, BioWare's done for. So they don't really have these two specific teams anymore, but he's talking about years ago how it used to be a problem. Per PC Gamer, David Gator, the creator of Dragon Age and former lead writer at BioWare, has posted up a storm over on Blue Sky about just how bad the internal conflicts got at BioWare beneath both the development teams. So, first of all, yeah, he's on Blue Sky. There are many industry professionals who go over there because on one hand, they believe that they can keep their industry access right. And maybe if they keep following the trends in the industry, they'll keep getting hired. But second of all,
I think they just like the PDF stuff that's on Blue Sky.
everyone's allowed to have their personal opinions. He did create an amazing franchise all those years ago, but just because somebody did something good in the past doesn't mean they can do just as good
True,
now. It
based
says,
and
though,
real.
while I was at BioWare, EA always preferred Mass Effect. Straight up, their marketing team liked it more. It was modern, it had action. They never quite knew what to do with DA. And whenever DA outperformed Mass Effect got the excuses. If you ask me, it was always just shy of the axe since Dragon Age Origins, which of course is sad to hear because while the other Dragon Age games have all had problems, not to the
I think this is cope though, because the only Mass Effect game that probably did not outperform Dragon Age was Andromeda. It's probably only Andromeda. That's it. That's probably the only Mass Effect game that doesn't outperform Dragon Age, if we're being real.
extent of Veilguard. I mean, Veilguard was just an abomination through and through. It was a modernized Dragon Age for young adults, which was terrible. They had modern day
How do you know that young adults are all shit? Because the term young adult doesn't make sense.
terminology like transgender, non binary. There were top surgery scar
Hell
toggles. The
yeah!
storytelling with characters like Tosh was awful. I mean, some of these characters
Oh, are the Dragon Age Railguard Sims still on the crusade that it somehow was success? Because again, BioWare themselves came out and in a rare admittance said that Dragon Age Railguard is a failure, which is wild.
just existed to be walking billboards for certain
Okay, again, there's so many things that don't make sense with BioWare in my mind currently. The fact that they literally just came out and said, "Oh yeah, investors, our thing, it failed. 10 out of 10." BioWare not a publicly traded company, maybe? But even then, they wouldn't say that because EA is. I'm. There's something missing.
sexualities, and it is sad to see this happen to so many beloved franchises, but it's only going to continue to get worse in my opinion. But in his posts he noted that up until he left in 2016, BioWare essentially operated as two distinct divisions, and nary the two should ever meet. For a long time it was basically two teams under one roof, the Dragon Age team and the Mass Effect team, run differently, very different cultures, may as well have been two separate studios, and they did not get along. It's very interesting for me to see this happen now, to see this individual come out now and basically turn on EA, because I feel like the reason he hadn't until this point is because he was hoping that he was going to get on their good side again, right? That he was going
Probably.
to be able to maybe work on another game, whether it was Dragon Age or Mass Effect, and he'd be brought back into the fold.
By the way, this is the normal playbook pretty much for every single one of these people, and it's the smart thing. I would do, by the way, the exact same. Because that's how you get hired. That's how you move up in life.
Because we know with the next Mass Effect game, they're bringing back a lot of vets, but I think that, he's not getting that call, so he's decided, okay, it's time for me to basically turn my back on them, which, hey, in my opinion, doesn't matter because you still have something to say. Though the timing's very specific. Although apparently EA was aware of the issue, their attempts to resolve it were minimal at best. Evidently, this was driven home to him when he joined the Mass Effect team to work on Anthem, calling both the game and the move a mistake. I mean, I don't think that anybody who was affiliated with Anthem could say anything
Oh,
besides it
right,
was a
Anthem.
mistake. That game all around was a nightmare for them. I don't know what they were thinking with the story and the gameplay, and I guess some of the character and armor designs were kind of cool, but a pretty game can't make up for all of its gameplay or monetization downfalls. And of course, it was a spectacular failure in terms of live service. Per him, he was asked when reshaping Anthem's narrative from hard sci fi to science fantasy, but was constantly set upon by the Mass Effect team because they felt that his writing was too Dragon Age. I think that it's funny that a team was telling him it was too Dragon Age, even though he was hired to bring it more from like a Halo to a Dragon Age. I kept getting feedback about how it was too Dragon Age and how everything I wrote or planned was too Dragon Age, the implication being that anything
Yeah, and then we got Andromeda, 10 out of 10.
like Dragon Age was bad, and it certainly should not have been seen that way because Dragon Age had been wildly successful before, but not anymore. Though it's not shocking to hear all of this happened, given the EA CEO doesn't understand how the company is ran now, what made the company successful in the past. I mean, just a few months ago, Andrew Wilson, the EA CEO,
The hell is this?
had attempted to explain away Veilguard's failure, claiming
Oh, yeah! No microtransactions. It's like Bethesda Todd Howard saying Starfield's expansion failed because they introduced didn't save the fucking vehicle buggy for it.
the game didn't sell due to lack of live service elements, yet ignored the divisive identity politics, which I think is just
I mean, to be fair, again, people aren't always looking at the words live service and instantaneously being bad. I personally am a realist, and I think that the words live service do sound cringe nowadays. True, but let's be completely real here. Let's stop being emotional and think for a moment. Most of the games you are playing are live services. Most of the best games you are playing are live services. If Dragon Age the Veilguard had some actually really good and interesting live service elements to it, it would have probably made the game better. Okay? A single player game can have live service elements in it, and it can make it better. It's just that simple. Typically, though, it doesn't, and that's the real problem. But again, most good games that we play are live service games. You can even, well, you can't really say Baldur's Gate 3 is a live service game through, but I mean, it's getting a lot of updates and shit, and it's a single player game, and typically single player games don't get fixed that much. Again, it's not really a live service game, but you see that there's a live service aspect to it. That there's updates, there's bug fixes, and things like that.
So fucking funny because if it was just because of a lack of live service elements, something like Anthem would have been $1 billion hit. Anthem would have made tons of money because it was a live service game, and it didn't. It's not
Also true.
live service that people want. It's good storytelling that people want, high quality storytelling that people want.
I mean, tell that to the 75th iteration of Dark Souls and the 275th new clone of Elden Ring. People don't necessarily want that. I mean, if you're gonna go this route, then just say people want good games. That's it.
Beautiful games, games that play well, that don't release in a state that feels like it's in a beta. We want you to be releasing high quality, completed experiences, not just, oh, it's live service or it's not live service. Of course, they don't mention the identity politics at all, which is fucking laughable given the identity politics are a major reason why this game failed. People are sick and tired of narratives being shoved into their faces. People just want escapism. Video games are a form of escapism, and you should just be creating fun experiences and products, and that's really not what companies are focused on anymore. So while this is a person, right, who's run to blue sky and somebody who clearly has a mindset that is one that is definitely mainstream still, it is very interesting to hear
Who cares about them? Anyway, that was very dark. 10 out of 10. Bye.